Just a PR company arranged it to hype a new actress. Same old Julian. Light board too cool to explain. A stunt. If it had been anyone else I might have fooled myself. But Giselle wasn't just anyone. 2. We'd met back in high school. I was delivering breakfast to Julian every morning to grind affection points. 7 days straight before he even remembered my name. Giselle was the ultimate bad girl. She beat Julian up just because she felt like it. One beating and Julian was obsessed for years. Graduation night. He stumbled on Giselle making out with her boyfriend. Drunk on jealousy, he drowned himself at the bar and then turned and confessed to me. The guy Giselle threw away I treated like treasure, staying 7 loyal years. But those 7 years were haunted by Giselle's ghost. May had barely ended and Riverdale wouldn't stop raining. No poetry, just clammy damp that rotted the mood. My sketches turned into ransom notes. I balled them up and pitched them only for them to bounce back. Someone had read the paper and clipped on a business card. Bounce Sebastian. Sebastian sounded faintly familiar. I couldn't be bothered. Julian walked in. Mad. I bit my lip saying nothing. 1 more second and I'd shame myself by forgiving him. Fine. Beat me up then. He grabbed my hand and hammered it against his own chest. I yanked free and said flatly, not mad. I used to be the easiest girl in the world. Ruffle my hair and I'd glow for 3 days. But today a thought stabbed me when my fist hit him. Was he thinking of Giselle? Good. No temper. So a Chong Sam size is in your WhatsApp. Need it by month end. Rain lashed harder. Julian lit a cigarette and perched on my side table. Ash drifted to the floor. My brows knitted. Put that out. He took a long drag. Smoke curling. Eyes openly taunting. He knew my warehouse studio was strictly no smoking. Old wood, racks of sketchbooks, silk bolts everywhere. One spark and we're history. It won't catch. Relax. He probably hated my prim rules. Giselle would never nag. Julian headed for the door. That Chong Sam month end is impossible. You know He left before I finished. He knew I'd shoved clients aside for the engagement gown and was buried in backlog. Still, after a blank minute, I opened my phone and saved the measurements. An assistant burst in while I was matching silk. Sis, I saw your gown. Where? On the red carpet. Some star's wearing it. I took her phone and went mute. The gown I'd poured 3 months into was wrapped around Giselle. She's smaller. Someone had tapered the waist. I opened Weibo. Half the posts raved about her face. The rest begged for the designer. I blacked the screen but couldn't damn the tears. Julian, you dare claim you didn't know? Sis, contact Giselle's publicist. Gowns built at 130 grand. Damaged. Full reimbursement. 2. Giselle's publicist never answered. Julian showed up instead. I'll give you 30 grand cash. Stop harassing Giselle. The money hit the table, smashing my pattern paper. I unbundled it and counted bill by bill. Julian hovered, eyeing the half-finished Chong Sam on the form, apparently pleased. $2.99. You're 100 short. He peeled the dress off the mannequin. I'll then MO the rest. Vance, you seem fond of money. I was staring at the $29,999 and didn't notice the newcomer. Sebastian P. Resident Wu Serena owner. I answered flustered, suddenly shy. He was ridiculously handsome with a cool executive aura, but the depth in his eyes was pure warmth. I'm a lowbrow. I only love money. Brutal truth. Once I believed love conquered all. All I got was a crash course in heartbreak. Sebastian chuckled. Same. We should get along. My group is launching a fashion division. Be our head designer. $2 million salary. Pre-tax or after tax? Vance hesitates, we can make it after tax. I stared at the stack of cash on the table and suddenly felt it all looked rather ordinary. Tara's eyes lit up. She tugged my sleeve on the sly, silently urging me to say yes right away. You can take your time deciding, but could I trouble you to stitch this hem? I've worn it so long it's come undone. Sure enough, the hem was frayed and the edge already wearing thin. The CEO of Vance couldn't possibly be this thrifty. A very important friend gave it to me. Sebastian was down to a thin black shirt, the muscles of his upper arms and chest faintly outlined. I didn't dare look at him. My hands shook even while smoothing the fabric. He spoke suddenly. Looks familiar. Nothing. When I finished, the hem was puckered and crooked, barely half my usual standard. Yet Sebastian said it was perfect. Before he left, he handed me an envelope, calling it a foolproof charm that would banish every care when opened. I told him that even $2 million after tax, I still needed more time to think. 3 hours after I boxed up the last overdue order, I collapsed onto the silk bolts, exhausted. Today was June 6. The Riverdale-themed red carpet co-hosted by Vance and its sponsors had already wrapped. As expected, Giselle's smear posts were now trending. Rising starlet climbs the ladder by showing skin. Julian's fiancé is actually a schemer. It was monsoon season, and fabric stored for over 2 years naturally lost strength. Julian's demand for a skin-tight fit, with no ease at all, made the waist and hips irresistible. Yet one step could burst the seams. Still, Julian truly loved her. Within minutes, every negative thread about Giselle vanished. Replacing them were fan-screeds slamming Cloud. A few rabid followers even found my storefront, hurling rotten greens, dung, and urine. The moment I bolted the door, I speed-dialed Sebastian. Let's get married. And so I was marrying Sebastian. Walking out of City Hall, I felt half-dazed. Studying the unfamiliar man beside me, I couldn't help asking, "You're loaded. Shouldn't you draft a prenup?" "No. Bend as you like." That's wonderfully convenient. After all, it was Sebastian's money I was after. Inside the envelope he'd given me were a marriage application and a detailed pro-con chart. Post-wedding, he would gift me 25% advance equity plus a $70 million bridal settlement. Best of all, the fashion subsidiary would be 100% under my control. My only target, $20 million in sales within 2 years. Stressful but a sensational deal. Marrying Sebastian. At least he wouldn't humiliate me in front of guests at an engagement banquet. To a businessman, a partner's title carries far more weight than a 7-year secret admirer. Only the Cloud I'd built for years was finished for good. Before I announced its permanent closure, Julian phoned after a long exhale. He drawled, "Serena, come cry uncle and I'll flip the narrative. Cloud can reopen." I pretended to soften, letting my voice crack. Then, "What about Giselle? She stays the victim. Fans will pity her. Apologize. I'll pay trolls to hail your reform." Simple. Silly me for overthinking to him. Giselle is someone I can never surpass. I gave a cold laugh. Pass. I've latched onto deep pockets. Cloud's too small time now. Julian clearly hadn't expected me to abandon Cloud so easily. That's the place you fought 7 years for. Serena, how can you be so heartless? Shutting it like flipping a switch. After his roar, a honey-sweet female voice sounded. The irritable Julian turned tender in an instant. "Ollie, stop fooling around." When he came back, he repeated, "Heartless." Yet, you know it was 7 years, Julian. You know Cloud existed for whom? But when you humiliated me, did you ever consider I'd find you heartless too? When you tossed the suit I made and stole my couture gown for Giselle, did you ever think how brutal that was to a girlfriend who'd adored you for 7 years? Julian, you have no heart. I told you it's all for show. Stop making scenes. When the act never ends, you end up fooling yourself. Sebastian and I scheduled the wedding for the day our fashion house launched its first collection. Speed, therefore, was entirely up to me, the designer. I dragged my feet clear into year-end. 12 gowns plus 20 ready-to-wear pieces hit the racks and seized trending tabs the instant they dropped. Aside from the 7 reserved for Vance-signed celebs, the rest were snatched by A and B-list starlets. Only the designer herself couldn't take a triumphant bow because Julian currently had me pinned, demanding I admit my marriage to Sebastian is just another performance. Learning from me, huh? Getting good at acting. It's not an act. Sebastian's got plenty of actors. Why cast you? It's not an act. When it's over, come to me. I'll pretend none of this happened. No. Before I could finish, he seized my hand and kissed it hard. Unable to dodge, I bit him viciously. The drop of blood jolted him back to sanity. Serena, tell nephew this is fake, right? Forehead pressed to mine. His eyes were frenzied, praying for a single confirmation. Sebastian returned from the press line, face thunder black. I started to explain when Julian crashed to the floor. He struggled but stayed down, glaring at Sebastian. 10 years finally promoted. Must feel incredible. And Mark? I stood baffled, lost. Sebastian's scowl deepened. He kicked Julian aside. Then gently he laced his fingers. Fisher. Oof. Mine. That's your nephew. No need to be polite. I said, huh? 5 on our wedding night, Sebastian. And I sat on the bed staring wide-eyed. I broke the ice. Julian says, you simped 10 years. Give your business partner some gossip. Sebastian rolled his eyes. Didn't you simp? How did you know? Friends only knew I dated Julian 7 years. How abject I'd been inside that affair. They had no clue. CEO of Vance, busy sun up to sundown. Yet you dig up gossip. I didn't dig. Then how do you know? Entertainment giants love unearthing scandals. Everything about Julian. You knew it all. True. I said dutifully. Same here. Sebastian slid closer. The mattress dipped and I tilted toward him. Skin separated only by cloth. Yet the contact set my cheeks burning. Though this theory is kind of impolite, logically it makes sense. So, Mr. CEO, could you be my S? I tilted my head cautiously, testing the waters, terrified he'd fly into a rage and tear up our contract. There are still plenty of my design drafts at the company. I'm not worried about him stealing them. Yeah, I've pined after you for 10 years. He suddenly spread his arms and fell backward, exhaling as if a weight had slid off his chest. My cheeks burned. Heat flooded my whole body. I sat stiffly, not daring to move. The air thickened with unspoken tension. Sebastian reached out and pulled me into his arms. We stared at each other, locked in a silent tug of war. He leaned closer until our lips almost brushed. Then a ringtone snapped the two of us out of our daze. Julian's call. The contact name was still Babe. The 3 oversized letters made Sebastian turn away in disgust. A 6 feet 3 inches frame curled into itself looked almost comical. Julian slurred that he was drunk and wanted me to come. My mind floated back to the past while Sebastian seized the phone. His voice was icy, not a scrap of mercy. If your parents are alive, you don't need aunt-in-law to play guardian. I'll tell brother-in-law to pick you up. Julian really must have been wasted. The clatter of toppling bottles carried through the speaker. Don't tell Sebastian's dad, please. It was rare to hear Julian beg. Still I dialed Giselle. If a drunken night let him see her, maybe Julian's 7-year regret could be soothed. When the farce ended, Sebastian and I were awkward again. Lying under the same blanket felt unbearable, even with a strip of mattress between us. Sebastian, I can't sleep. Me neither. Then tell me how you pined all these years. I never felt a thing. He started to speak, stopped, then finally answered after a long hesitation. I was Seb. Oh, Seb. My brain went into overdrive. After rummaging through every memory, only one fit. The short, chubby senior everyone called Seb in high school. He once fainted from hunger on the soccer field after failing to steal my snacks. It took 4 medics to haul him away. I still grin at the ridiculous scene. Stop laughing. Sebastian clapped a hand over my mouth, forbidding another word. After that, you stuffed snacks into my bag every day. Even when people told me to lose weight, you still let me have a bite. You were kind. That's it. A twinge of guilt hit me. Those snacks had been cast-offs Julian didn't want. I just handed them over because it was convenient, but I treasured it for 10 years. The living room clock chimed once. 1 a.m. With the new collection just launched, 1,000 problems waited. I couldn't afford to lose the first battle. No matter how many questions swirled inside me, I urged Sebastian to sleep. He shifted closer, asking timidly if he could let me rest my head on his arm. No way. It's like lying on a rock. 6. When I woke, Sebastian had wrapped himself around me like an octopus. I kicked him hard, got dressed, and left. The moment I stepped into Cloud, Assistant Tara hurried in looking distraught. Boss, that black couture gown for the 9th. Sloan had claimed it. But Vance says he's already talked to you privately and the dress goes to Giselle. Transfer it. Send the original sample to Giselle. Then they'll clash on the red carpet. Let them. Whoever looks worse will be the one embarrassed. And loan Sloan the matching sapphire necklace. The black gown was cut for an Ice Queen vibe. Sloane's model sharp features could carry it. Giselle's marketing tag might be walking luxury but overexposed. Obviously, enhanced curves would tip straight into vulgarity. Still, handing the dress to Giselle made Julian read the move wrong. He thought I'd done it as a favor to him. The receptionist rang to say a gentleman had sent flowers. I assumed Sebastian's decade of devotion had finally erupted into grand gestures and bounced downstairs, only to trudge back disappointed. I knew that handwriting. Julian. Serena, I'll wait at your office after work. Let's grab barbecue skewers. Before he entered showbiz, he'd sometimes linger at street stalls with me till midnight. After his star began to rise, he dropped cheap eats. His publicist insisted on the old money heartthrob image and posh restaurants. If I ordered takeout, he stood 8 feet away, claiming it ruined his future Oscar aura. I didn't tell the front desk to turn him away. Tonight was Giselle's red carpet moment, and I wanted to see if Julian would really pause for me. I worked late on purpose. When I finally went downstairs, he was still in the lobby. Let's go. Julian's eyes lit up. He led the way and started the engine. His phone rang non-stop. Aren't you going to answer? Eyes off the road scared me. Seeing I wasn't angry, he killed the motor and checked the messages. One after another, his face darkened. Serena, rain check emergency. I stepped out without protest, watching him peel away. Giselle would always outrank me. On my walk back from the garage, I ran into Sebastian. His face was stormy too. Julian sent you roses and you got into his car? Wait, listen. Explanation drowned beneath a possessive kiss. Sebastian brooked no argument in this arena. Oxygen gone, I wilted against him. He carried me to his vehicle, a pickup whose tarp-covered bed screamed anything but CO. Your ride's kind of ugly today. Supply run. What kind of cargo needs the president himself? 1,000 roses for my wife. This is truck number 3-7. I laughed so hard in my dreams I woke Sebastian up. He really was the senior called Seb. Growth had come late, a college growth spurt that shot him to 6 feet 3 inches. After slimming down, he trained like a maniac. I felt invisible next to you, so I worked out for years. When I finally made Campus King, I even got someone to pass you a love letter, but you only had eyes for Julian. You sent it back unopened. I vaguely remembered tossing every confession to prove my devotion to Julian. I fiddled with my fingers, then recalled Sebastian's suit. The one you made for Julian, the one he rejected. I swiped it. Sebastian rolled over, voice sour. You stole from your nephew? From your sister's laundry pile? He tossed it with dirty clothes. He never valued it. I knew you'd open cloud. 50% of your early clients came through me. 2 years ago, when you had that copyright fight, the intern lawyer who wouldn't take your money cost me 300 grand. You're proud you'd never accept outright help. He spoke calmly as though reciting ordinary facts. But I knew only a love at full strength could manage so much. I played that same careful, silent giver role for years too. I hugged him, heart aching, and ran my fingers through his messy hair. You should have told me sooner. I've been chasing that lawyer around, calling him daddy. Dock his pay. Can't. He's still your daddy. So embarrassing. Sebastian swatted my butt. I'll make you a new suit one of these days. You keep wearing the old one. It's tanking the company's image. Make 3. Okay. 8. In the same couture gown, Sloane left Giselle in the shade. Every poll on Twitter was ready. T ran 100 to 0. While Giselle was being called tacky, my scandal drop was piling up too. The brand's team is trash, screwing up a rookie mistake like this. Heard she used to be Julian's fangirl. Probably set Giselle up on purpose. Some replies fired back. If an actress isn't gorgeous, that's the real crime. I beamed at the black hot hashtag that wouldn't budge. The higher you climb, the harder you splatter. Stack too many lies, and when truth day comes, you lose the whole board. Giselle's top fan led an army of paid trolls to flood the brand's Weibo with scrubbed comments. Word was Julian felt so bad he rushed her a gritty female lead drama. He spent days softening up the director just to hand her the S+ script's second female lead. I watched a clip on my phone. Julian toasting the director, voice humble. The greasy director's hand pinched his waist, and he didn't dare push it away, braving to the point of selling his dignity. Sebastian and I can't outdo Julian there. He crawled, but Giselle never said thanks. Even with a fat penalty clause, she terminated her contract with Julian's company. She jumped straight to the greasy director who had toasted. What Julian didn't know, while he swallowed harassment and drink after drink for her, was that Giselle had already crawled into the director's bed. She never needed him to win that role. The director showed up partly because she wanted to see Julian desperate for her, and partly because he wanted blackmail footage to pressure Sebastian into investing in Vance Capital. When Sebastian sent the clip, he called it a textbook S. It looks like he wasn't worried about the fallout either. After work, Sebastian was still driving that pickup. "Mr. CEO, what treasure are we hauling today?" I asked. "Cash. An entire truck." "Seriously, aren't you afraid of hijackers?" I gaped. Sebastian yanked the tarp. Stacks of bills that could drive anyone wild. My grin hit the ceiling. Then Sebastian said, "Props all fake. Taking them home so you can toss them around." I thought for a second, disappointed. His teasing tone made me look totally materialistic. I punched his chest twice, still huffy, then snorted. Sebastian stepped up to coax me. "That's all it takes to pout? Serena's so petty. Dance equity plus the bridal settlement beats this by miles. The subsidiaries mint money too. You're pocket-sized. How can your appetite be XXL? Never stuffed." "Exactly, I'm insatiable." The second the words landed, Sebastian's gaze flipped to starving wolf mode, practically drooling. Scared, I played possum first. "It's 8 p.m. and you're in bed. Sebastian, are you even man enough?" Dring. Bean. He yanked the quilt over both of us and dragged me in. His answer. Just as we were getting cozy, my sister and brother-in-law showed up with Julian. Sebastian said nothing, but the chill coming off him was terrifying. Julian wrecked our night. Unforgivable. When I reached the living room, my brother-in-law kicked Julian to the floor. "You miserable punk. Pride gone, toasting geysers older than your old man. All for some starlet. Don't you know starlets are heartless? She's warming the director's bed by dawn. Why would she want you?" My sister sat to the side, heartbreak all over her face, yet she only dared sob at Sebastian. "Good brother, for my sake, help your nephew once. Get the director to loosen his jaws. Later we'll sign him to your company, and you can keep him in line." Julian was annoyed. "Cut in. The director asked you for $1 million in hush money. He wants $4 million from me. Add PR fees, dear nephew's penalties, and future overhead. I don't know how we will ever fill that hole. Little brother, mom and dad died young. Sister's begging you." With that, sister knelt too. I hurried to lift her up. I knew Sebastian couldn't bear it. He loathed Julian but loved his only sister. After a long silence, he yielded, glancing at the man on the floor. "Apologize to your aunt-in-law first." 9. Sebastian tossed him a lifeline, but Julian still tried to wriggle free. He wouldn't accept me as aunt-in-law, only as the girl who'd adored him for years. Serena, I was wrong. The name Serena detonated Sebastian. If sister hadn't blocked him, Julian might be dead already. Julian was scared witless and finally croaked out, "Aunt-in-law. Sorry is enough. I don't want him replaying the past. Neither does Sebastian." How sincere that apology was no longer mattered. After sister and brother-in-law left, I sat in the house feeling deflated. I grabbed a wad of prop cash and flung it skyward, muttering, "Great, now I really am scattering it." That was so much money. After moping for a few days, I realized my panic had been pointless. Old fox Sebastian always had a plan to make Julian earn it back. Once Julian joined Vance, his calendar was jam-packed. The highborn heartthrob image his old publicist loved. The new team killed it overnight. 6 dumb streaming rom-coms a year, Superman would collapse. Trashy as they are, those shows print money. Way better margins than my fashion house. I'd been married to Sebastian quite a while, yet I'd never entered his study. This time he asked me to drop off a file. So I opened the dark panel door for the first time. The next second I shut it again. Thought twice, reopened, then shut it again. After several rounds I finally walked in. I could hardly believe it. Half the stuff in here looked scavenged or stolen. Cat figurines lined the shelves, the ones Julian had tossed for being childish. The neck gloves and scarf were the set I spent 2 months making for Julian. Colorful candy wrappers in a jar. My snacks from way back. Every inch of his study carried traces of me. A wave of emotion hit. Suddenly I felt I owed Sebastian something. Love is a chronic sense of debt. I guess I think I love Sebastian. He must have sensed it. He called twice in a row. Finally he WhatsApped, Never mind the file. Don't go in the study. I texted back. Okay. Then immediately reached for the thick notebook on the desk. The first page was my P. Hodo senior yearbook. Dorky bangs, ultra serious face. Behind it Sebastian scribbles. Got caught stealing the junior's snacks. Then fainted from hunger on the field. Mortifying. The junior brought me snacks again today. Happy. Plot twist. The junior seems to like my nephew. Even brought him breakfast. Jealous. I wrestled with myself for ages and finally wrote her a love letter. I'm better looking now. Maybe she'll finally notice me. My company keeps me swamped, but when her sketchbook was ripped off I still heard about it. The 300 grand lawyer I hired. Serena gets him first. Serena doesn't seem into my idiot nephew anymore. I think my shot has arrived. I closed the journal and backed out of the file. My head felt fuzzy like I'd woken from a dream. The spring wind, soft and warm, laced with the scent of roses, washed over me, dizzyingly sweet. Sebastian said, I love you. The call cut dead. I figured his heart had simply missed a beat. After he came home, Sebastian turned clingy overnight, my shadow wherever I moved. I'm just going to the bathroom and you're standing guard. That's awkward. He planted himself in the doorway, stubborn as a mule waiting. Let's register a bathroom fixture startup Sunday. Couples toilets, hand in hand for life's big moments. Oh, shut up. Gross. Still not as gross as Julian. Julian's calendar was packed solid, but he still carved out time to see Giselle. Or rather, Giselle summoned him. There aren't many in this town reckless enough to threaten Sebastian. The greasy director was excavated from every angle. Eldest son born by a surrogate for mistresses on the side. A parade of starlets in his bed. Casual gambling. Orgies on speed dial. None of it could survive scrutiny. With his protector toppled, Giselle pivoted back to Julian. Her rivals fanning the flames had stockpiled a decade of scandal drops on her. From diva tantrums to plastic surgeries, from refusing to learn lines to pilfering couture gowns and other women's men, arsenic for any career. Julian's publicist, under Sebastian's directive, let Julian dictate every spin. Julian admits he cheated with Giselle. Giselle, wholly ignorant, is the injured party. The surgeries? Julian thought she wasn't pretty enough. The attitude? His strategy for notoriety. The statement painted Giselle spotless. The internet wept for her, side-eyed her, fought in comment trenches. The moment the headline flashed, sister and brother-in-law barged in again. Julian is your own nephew. How can you side with an outsider? That vixen Giselle has her claws in you now, hasn't she, Sebastian? Sister's rage scorched her reason. Practically raised you. Have you no heart? Sebastian stood still, letting her fists drum against his chest. It hurt to watch, but I didn't step in. Family business is best handled by family. When her storm blew itself out, she quivered, breath ragged. Sebastian spoke quietly. Sis. He knelt in front of me, called me uncle, begged me to scrub Giselle clean. He'd already pawned his pride. Even if you, his own mother, beg, he won't turn back. Julian is rotten. That verdict, rotten, felt like a death sentence. Sister stared blankly, wordless. From that day her mind ceased. Sebastian flew in the best doctors. Their verdict, total rest. He bought her a waterfront villa on a southern island to spend her days in peace. Luckily, brother-in-law kept a clear head, pouring his energy into caring for his wife instead of their lost son. Even with Vance bankrolling a whitewash tsunami, Giselle stayed stained. New Angelus sprouted daily. The tide swept her name out to sea. She re-emerged in the risque corner of a live stream platform. When the runner-up tipped a rocket, she calked on camera. Yet, no matter how much Top Fan splurged, she refused to utter his name because Top Fan was Julian. His lapdog soul hadn't changed. 6 web dramas a year. After Vance's cut, Julian still pocketed decent change. But post-scandal, no new SC rips arrived. Every dollar flowed straight back to Giselle's chat room. Last I heard, he was pulling lattes at a cafe. A baseball cap masked half his face. Devoted ex-fans still recognized him. They ached for his fall yet applauded his hustle. The next day he quit, slinking to an anonymous assembly line in a warehouse studio. I don't know how long he'll last. If he truly repents and wants to act again, Sebastian could land him bit parts even if blockbusters are closed. Whether he rots in the gutter or claws back to an Oscar podium, he is no longer anything to me. My heart these days beats only for Sebastian. In July and August the roses riot, but so does the sun. I harvest blooms in the garden, a straw hat shielding me. Sebastian sulks the entire time. Hire a crew. They'd finish in an hour. You'll exhaust yourself. Bake your skin. Feed every mosquito. No, I want the picking ritual. They'll become rose hydrosol petal pastries. We can stamp them onto silk bolts the old way. Perfect print for the fall line. Once you've milked the ritual, I'll summon the workers. Don't you dare. I'll be mad. Sebastian caves, shorts and slides on, plunging into the bushes to help. That blazing sun and no hat. Hardcore CEO here. Sun's nothing. After a whole day of picking, we're wrecked. Sebastian collapses starfish style on the couch. I size him up. Have you plumped up? Why, you're not turning into senior Seb, right? Scary. He bolts awake, stomps to the scale, then marches to the gym without a word. Looks like the gain is real. When he returns, I'm half asleep. I feel him skim my cheek, kiss my forehead. After an eternity, he slides in beside me and mutters, not turning into Seb love too humbly. I finally have you. Can't lose you ever. His grip on my hand tightens. Sleep flees me. If you morph into Seabog, I'll still love you. And if I end up penniless, then I'll have to think about it. Serena, you little... Seriously, do you know why I insist on picking Rose? Yes, myself. Trying to save labor costs. Because every petal is a love letter you once wrote me. Each one I pluck I repeat. I love you. I think Sebastian's crying. Damn, now I've got something in my eye too.